I feel like that's a different conversation. I mean, you're definitely going to get the pushback if you start trying to legislate federally where people can and can't live. I mean, that's usually where that's where the rhetoric, that's where the fire starts to build. That's where people start getting very ornery and
Well, you're
rah
not off.
rah
Yeah, but I mean,
freedom.
listen, I think that's a fair point to make. But you're also, in my vision, you're not.
Yeah,
You'd offer them something that's good in return, not
yeah,
like get off here and here's $500, go figure it out.
right.
Like it would have to be like a legitimate relocation where it's actually worth them moving, and you could say like, yeah,
Do you think people would take that though?
I don't know, but I mean, we don't even talk about it, so what does it matter?
It's interesting. Why don't we talk about that? Really, we don't really. You're absolutely right. We don't talk
because
about that.
because I don't know, those are red states, and you don't you have to convince them to take that money in a way. Like actually, you don't have to convince them to take the money, but they're not asking for it.
Right. Didn't you mention something about like down by the where you used to live, down by the shore in Jersey, that the wasn't there some money offered to people who lived on like their stilt houses in the water or something like that?
No, they keep getting demolished during storms, and Sandy wiped a bunch out,
Yeah.
and they got federal and state aid, but they're on barrier islands. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like it's the same kind of situation where it shouldn't be zoned for residential areas, and if it is,
Yeah.
then that should be on them. Like that shouldn't be on the rest of us to do, especially when they're voting against putting in dune systems because it obstructs their view
Mm.
of the ocean. It's just like an absurd situation when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sorry, if you had any area that was prone to anything, what happening all the time, I don't know. Either we shore up our defenses, we figure out what the root cause is and stop doing that, or we say, hey, maybe this should be a preserve. Maybe this shouldn't be for us, and we're gonna set you up someplace nice.
Well, I mean, I think Miami is the poster child at this moment for shoring up your defenses. I think that's the route they've gone, which is natural. They want to protect the city. I know New York is looking at some plans that, of course, are hotly contested because it's going to make a lot of the Manhattan Brooklyn shoreline basically look like trash. Because it's basically they're basically going to Berlin Wall it, for lack of better visual terminology. If
Or
anyone
like a
wants to.
seawall.
Well, yes, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
because it's on the route of where pedestrians would walk or bikers would bike. It's gonna.
Well, then
Yeah,
why can't it be like a wall that you walk on top of, like an
that's
old
good.
school
That's a
European
that's a
walled
cool
city?
that's a cool question. Yeah, like a European. Yeah, you're right. I mean, without getting too much into the plans, that's not what the Army Corps has
Oh,
served
that's a
up.
shame.
They've just served up a wall, not a walkable wall. But you're right. I like a Great Wall of China, something you can walk along, a
Yeah.
little promenade, a little couple of vendor shops, a couple of grassy knolls that you put on top of the wall. I love it. That sounds fantastic. The investment, I don't know. Everyone's probably like, well, what corporation's going to do this? And it's like, well, I guess if no one wants to buy into it because not profitable, I guess we just won't do it. Yeah, welcome to America. But anyway, I think that you've leveled a very good counter to my initial just knee jerk, like who would do this? Why would you move to a place where you ultimately could die if
By
the
the way,
electricity went out?
I don't disagree with you. I wouldn't move there. I should say, if I had a choice, I wouldn't move there. I imagine some of these people might not have choices. This might be where their work is and what they can afford.
Right.
And then I can't really say anything against that because you got to do what you got to do.
I guess so, but I mean it's a weird mentality to lump in almost certain death with you got to do what you got to do. This
Well,
isn't storming the beaches of Normandy to like
a lack of
overthrow fascism.
For a
No,
lack of society looking out for one another. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like I said, the government. I'll say the government should come in and I don't know, quote unquote, do something about it. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to say zone off Phoenix as a non-residential area, but maybe figure out what to do. I mean, my lack of being able to come up with a solution to that does not mean that there isn't one.
Yeah.
I don't know the issues around Phoenix. It could be, I mean, I honestly, this is probably isn't it, but there's like development that can happen in surrounding areas is actually something I'm going to cover later.
Okay.
And it can impact downstream, upstream, wherever the impact is. But it's like surrounding development can impact other areas and you're not even aware of it. Like I have no idea what's going on there. I know that it's probably a dry, arid place anyway. I've been there once.
Oh, it's a desert.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful place, desert surrounded by mountains. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was not there in the summer, and yeah, I don't know if you could irrigate. Like I don't know what you can do, channel water there. I don't know what's possible, but there are places. The fact of the matter is that the climate is changing, and with that, landscapes will change. It is going to be very emotional when things do reach a point that they are inhospitable to those of lesser means.
Yeah.
Those who can't have a natural gas generator hooked up to their home for 10, 15K a pop, and run on it for days or indefinitely until the power comes back on. I don't know how that works, but yeah, like that it's going to be a very difficult thing to accept. But I do think that that's probably where we're headed with some of these areas. You're going to have some of these ecosystems expand, and for us an ecosystem does include a desert, and the desert will probably expand, and what do you do with that?